Welcome back. Puma Panther Pants says good morning. He's happy to see you. He's always happy to see you. Great turnout today. Love this tribe. Yesterday, this topic is so ripe. I mean, we could live our whole lives studying the topic of asking and receiving. And yesterday I talked about the two great pathologies of asking that could impede our capacity to ask and receive in a way that we might call successfully. Yesterday, I talked about those who simply won't ask, who have forgotten that they can ask or feel ashamed, timid, shy, shameful, selfish, or frightened to ask, and that can be overcome. We can learn to ask. And then I talked about another pathology of asking, which is, I guess we might call it, if we do ask, we might call the next problem unskillful asking. It's my personal opinion, my personal understanding that we're always asking and that we're always receiving. Now, yesterday when I said that we don't ask, I'm talking about asking on the outside, declaring it, saying it, our ability to communicate it to others. But whether we communicate it or not, we all are always asking. We all are always asking, yeah. And the my premise that we're always asking and that we're always receiving, here's how I'm going to demonstrate that. If you look at your life right now, that's exactly what you're asking for. In other words, you asked for it. We can prove the premise, the spiritual principle that we're always asking and receiving simply by looking at our life. Whatever the overall amalgam, combination of conditions, experiences, man, that really hurts, bro. Ouch, I ask that you stop doing that. This is the only Dharma talk on the internet where the guy gets attacked by a wild animal, to my knowledge. Anyway, where was I? We're always asking, we're always receiving, and all we have to do to prove to ourselves that we are always asking and receiving is to look at our lives. Our lives, none of our lives are completely filled with misery or anguish or suffering. None of our lives seem to be filled with the highest possible glory, abundance, truth, beauty, and living to the fullness of our capacity. It seems to be a mix. It seems to be an amalgam, doesn't it? It seems to be a mixed bag. So in effect, we're always asking all the time, and all we have to do is look at our life. But in my opinion, Earth is a school where we're learning how to ask. We're spiritual beings who are learning in the great school of life what it means to ask and how to ask more effectively and more skillfully all the time. By becoming better at asking, we become more efficient at receiving. We might say if our lives are filled with some degree of misery, suffering, unhappiness, ill health, poverty, that to some degree we've learned to ask unskillfully, but we can clean it up. Now, what do I mean by our ability to clean up our ability to ask? Well, asking is more than just the words that come out of our mouth. The words that come out of our mouth, if they're not aligned with the entirety of our being, there's something deeper inside of us that's shaping affairs. And we all know that we have a subconscious mind. We all know that we have a heart and emotion. We all know that our conscious mind is but the tip of an iceberg. We might say 3% of our consciousness is above the surface line of awareness. If that's the case, 97% of it is down below the surface, where there are deeper subterranean energies and dynamics that are affecting and influencing our asking. Some quick examples of this are the person who's asking for more money, but they're filled with fear and anger and resentment over their bills that they can't pay. Somebody asking for peace and harmony, and yet they're filled with bad habits and they don't practice any sort of peace in their life. Maybe somebody who's asking for health, and yet they practice habits of living or habits of thinking or habits of emotion that have led to a current state of ill health. There's nothing wrong with all of this except that it hurts. And so in our meditation practice, in our calming of ourselves, we begin to bring into alignment all the different faculties of asking, not just what we say, but how we feel. One of the great lines of scripture is, as a man thinketh in his heart. So we have to get our feeling, we have to get the shape of our being in alignment with what we're asking for. And all of us can begin to shape the container of our own being so that what we ask for, what we really want, can fit inside of ourselves. We can all become, and you can ask yourself, can I become a more skillful asker? Can I get better at this? Can I begin to clean up the deeper parts of my emotion, my thinking, my attitudes, and my opinions so that when I'm asking, I know that I'm not more focused on the problem, the difficulty, the resentment, the worry. And when I'm asking, I'm filled with confidence, optimism, a sense of truth, a sense of harmony, a sense of peace. We are all students in a great school of asking, and we're all in whatever grade we're in. And if you want to know what grade you're in, simply take a look at your own life. And your own life right now is exactly what you've been asking for. My life right now is exactly what I've been asking for. Have I gotten a little better at it? I think so. I would hope so. I'm not maybe in kindergarten anymore, but there's hundreds of more grades to go of asking. The bottom line of this message is today is that we can ask, we will ask, we're always asking, and yet to practice this internal alignment of getting our emotions, our feelings, our deeper thoughts, opinions, a sense of humility around asking so that we feel as though our asking begins to bring about a coordination and alignment with what we're asking for. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll continue the topic next week. Ask skillfully, ask to ask better. Today, the prayer is God, love, source, infinite higher organizing principle. I ask to become a more skillful, more precise, more effective, more loving asker so that I receive for myself and others more effectively. See you tomorrow.